Yodi, Yodi, Yodi. With this one right here and everything else coming into it, you got Slimz LT with the Burst Him music video. You got the Slimz LT with the Burst Him and everything else, especially with Slimz and the LT and the whole Burst Him and the main thing and everything else. But you got with the whole Burst Him and everything else. But you got the Slims coming into it, LT, this whole thing coming into it, everything else. Just with the Slims and the Burst Him, but you got the Burst Him in the music video, everything else, the credentials and mainly with the Slim.
Mais c'est classique, tu mets l'esprit. Et dans son misto.
Bash the mash and burst him. Watch my nan can leave him curling. I got a Marley one with a bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Bash the mash and burst him. Watch my nan can leave him curling. I got a Marley one with a bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Bash the mash and burst him. Watch my nan can leave him curling. I got a Marley one with a bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Like anything.
Ooh, far from firm. He said earthed around and bust him and the whole thing. Like, hey, you know how the whole thing is already like, tournamentism and everything else. Like, hey, it's really twisting and turning, like he said, twisted him and turn him, all the muscles and burn them, came from the formals and everything else. Like, you got that whole just re-schoolful.
Get bun, you know the rest. See him out burning. 3VD, man, I miss my nigga. I hurt my chest when my bro got burned. Bash the mash and burst him. Watch my nan can leave him curling. Got a Marley one with a bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Like anything, get bun, you know.
Oh, he said like purging. He said anything can get done too. Like anything can get done, And then he said with the whole purging, like, hey, the purging and everything else, especially with this purging and stuff, the purging be so ineffile, skin of miles and everything else. But he said with the whole purging and the main, cause the main, satirist.
Bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Like anything, get bun, you know the rest. See him out burning. 3VD, man, I miss my nigga. I hurt my chest when my bro got birded. Got corn in his head, yo. Chop is a fucking nerd. Why you think he's racky? Got banned from the ends. But let me not get into detail. Froze up when he saw the guys. Then he got wet like a seashell. And bear man claimed that they live. Let me not get into detail. Froze up when he saw the guys. Then he got wet like a seashell. And bear man claimed that they live, but they online just chatting like females. No, I can't be one of them. You know it's on sight if I see one of them. Who the fuck is D38? I summon to.
Ooh, they feel sorry. I see one of them, and he said, I know I can't tell you I can't get into the details. Hey, don't get into too much of the details, because it's like, the whole thing and everything else. But like he said, the whole thing coming from the whole other side, like to the left, to the right, it's coming from the whole procedures. Like, hey, you coming from the whole thing, everything else, especially with this whole thing coming into it and everything else, I'm not really gonna get into the whole part where he was mistaken for premises, but it gets real, real schismism, real everything, real, defonto.
So they give it a rest. How you gonna sit there and talk about drills? And you ain't seen no slap, no skeng. How many man got put on the bench and they ain't got back to this live on the net? Bash the mash and burst him. Watch my nan can leave him curling. Got a Marley one with a bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Like anything, get bun, you know the rest. See him out burning. 3VD, man, I miss my nigga. I hurt my chest when my bro got birded. Should I spread my night like a bedsheet? Catch me up, I'll wet that. Chest shot gang when I got down. I know I won't ever regret that. 2 hands in a whap, shoot him, angle it, boot it, reaching a craft man. When we step, that serious smoke. If you do like, then you know you're a dead man.
Ooh, when we step, it's serious smoke. Hey, it's serious smoke, and then he said with the virgins and everything else, like, especially with especially with coming in so deep, like it comes in so deep, it's like, you don't know what these guys is actually coming for, because these guys is coming for so much, and intelligence, especially how the whole thing is, really bursting in, coming through, and the way he's just coming in, the way he's, telling us the whole thing, he's really in on a Virgil.
MA, that's a serious shooter. Get that drop, rise up in an instant. And my right index just clicking. And no, I can't trust these bitches. Is it me or my lifestyle? Something like Ardy, what is she picking? I don't care what she's picking. I don't want no lover, just get to the dickin'. Rise the mash and burst him. Watch my nan can leave him curling. I got a Mardy one with a bunda, but I prefer my sweet little Persian. Like anything get bun, you know the rest. See him out burning. 3VD, man, I miss my nigga. I hurt my chest when my bro got birded.
Hey, coming in with this one though right here, with the Slims and the LT, this is something else, especially with the LT and just the burst him, like, especially with the whole thing, how they affiliated and everything else, like the affiliation and stuff like that, and it comes in with a whole thing, but it comes in with different, everything else, especially with these right here, with the Slims, the Slim LT, the burst him and everything else, but especially with this one coming into it, it gets real deep and real, twist and miss and everything else. But especially with Slim, cause he been putting in so much, recommits and everything else. But you got with the LT, the burst them, the main thing. But make sure you guys definitely check this one out. This one was a crazy tune one. Like this one was a crazy, burst them one. But you got the whole thing coming into it. Make sure you guys definitely like, comment, everything else, Make sure you guys subscribe too and everything else. But coming into with the Slims, with the Slim and everything else coming into it with this one and everything else, make sure you guys definitely tune in with this. But everything else,